Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to another hashtag LockBoss show and giveaway. I tell you what, we have a full deck tonight. Of course, we're going to be going over the posts of the week, the comment of the week, and then we have Wayne Winton right now on standby, and we're going to be talking about should you hire help and talk about our call that we had here a couple weeks ago. So thank you to all who are joining us, and we'll go ahead and get started here in just a moment here. Let's go and pull the screen up. All right, here we go. All right. Oh, and of course, like I always sometimes forget to say, cheers to all of you out there drinking Topo Chico. All right. All right, here we go. So let's start off with the posts of the week. You know, it's supposed to be one post, but I like to do a couple here. So this was sent in by Gordon, and it looks like for his LockBoss winnings, he received a Wedgeco key extractor kit as well as a LockBoss van life hat. So that's pretty cool there. See what else we got here. All right, so this was actually sent in from, I believe, Thomas. This was his order that he had placed that he received. So thank you so much for sending that in. That's really cool to see. Looks like everything made it safely in one piece, which is always a plus. And let's see what else we got here. All right, and so this is another LockBoss giveaway winner. This is Adrian. Adrian, how's it going? I think you're on live here. But it looks like he won. That looks like to me that's the Schlage pinning kit. So the metal case Schlage pinning kit. Very cool. Good stuff. All right, let's keep it going here. Comment of the week. All right, this one comes from B. Strickler. He says, the one thing I hate about the pins is that my pin tweezers don't grab them. I need to get tweezers that grab them. They're hard enough to grab with my giant fingers. I have put my Lockvoy repinning kit to a lot of use with my American 1100 padlocks, even some SFIC versions on those. You guys definitely put out good knowledge for every LockBoss out there. Yeah, so that's a great point. I mean, B. Strickler, first of all, I'm glad you're liking the Lockvoy pinning kit. But you're right, the pins with that smaller 0.093 diameter make it really hard, honestly, even for me to grab. It was hard, even when I took the picture of the spool pin in that video. It's really hard to grab onto those little guys there. So I'm with you. I wonder if we should make, for all of you watching, listening in the comments, just let me know. Should we make a padlock pinning tweezer? That could be interesting. So you have to let me know in the comments there. All right. So with further ado, we're going to get into the main discussion here. I'm going to bring Wayne on in a minute. But if you haven't already, I put a little, the formatting looks a little funky on the screen here. But so Wayne and I did a call on talking about trying to grow a business. Let's talk about employees, right? And if you have not watched that video, I highly recommend that you do. Now, it's long. Okay, we have it on our podcast. So if you'd rather just listen to it, it's, what did it say there? Hour and 42 minutes. So it's a little lengthy. At the same time, though, we really go into depth about a lot of different topics. There's some great questions. And for those of you who are always asking for more like kind of behind the scenes content here at CLK, I really talk a lot about our strategies and what we do and, my philosophy and game plan. So definitely check that out if you are interested. So let me go ahead here and let's get Wayne pulled up on the screen. Wayne, how's it going?
Excellent. How are you today?
Doing well. Hey, thanks for joining us. And, I figured it'd be fun after doing the video talking about employees, team members, that it'd be fun to kind of bring you on and kind of rehash out kind of like the main takeaways that we got, and really kind of try to hone in on should you actually hire help? Like, where's that point kind of come from? So if we can just start with maybe your main takeaway from our call together.
My main takeaway from the Zoom session that we had was really how identical and how alike you and I both feel when it comes to hiring people and what your expectations are and what you plan on doing for them and how you plan on treating your team members as opposed to just hiring another employee. I think you really understand that, your employees really, really are your foundation. Without them, you're going to be trying to do all the work. You're going to go into overwhelm. You and I have both been there, as business owners, and it's not a fun place to be. Business ownership can be great and it should be fun. You should be living your dreams, but you need to do that in a way where you can start allocating things and you can actually enjoy your freedom a little bit. There's no point in making, being an owner and having extra cash to spend or making it a little bit larger income if you're constantly chasing your tail and putting out fires. That's no fun at all. So that was really the main takeaway was just how on board we are with how you should treat people. They're teammates. They're not employees. They're not people to be looked down upon. They're people to help and lift up. And just, that person to person connection is really, really what I got most out of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think the principles behind no matter even what business you're in, like all the principles that everyone has to battle is the same, right? Whether you're hiring your first team member or your however many, right? We all have the same battles. And I think it's something that's probably not talked enough about. The struggles that actually come with it, right? I think we kind of live in this weird phase of the internet where there's so many of these this bro culture about just go after it and grow big and put everything else aside, and I find it pretty awkward, honestly. So I think it's just good to really talk about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's, and I'm one of those people. You mentioned having this available on the podcast or just available to listen to. If I could give one piece of advice that's really, really brought me a tremendous amount of success is listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts. You guys are out there, you're going to be in the van, you're traveling back and forth. You're going to be in the van for hours and hours and hours on end. That's the perfect time to put on an hour and 42-minute conversation and pick up all those little pieces. That way you're taking your net time or, time where you're not doing anything else. You're literally just driving. And instead of listening to the same song for the 5,000th time, put some knowledge in your head, and that's going to get you a little bit further ahead. That's what I've been doing for the past 4 years now. And it's dramatically changed everything about the way that I look at business, life, et cetera, is getting these books in. And like you said, there's a lot of people that say, go for it and jump all in. Cool. Well, that's like saying there's a treasure map with no map to the treasure. There's no road, there's no roadmap, there's no plan, there's no drone footage. You can't see the whole thing. You have to be able to see all the little steps along the way. And I think that hour and 42-minute conversation really dove in and really dug its heels in and was able to explain to people exactly the kind of challenges you're going to face and how to overcome them.
Sure, absolutely. So if we were to kind of start off on when it came to, should you hire help? So you started your business, you started to get more and more work. And obviously, you have, a few different team members now. When it came to the first team member, what went into that decision as to should I do this?
Boy, it was just kind of, hey, how is every other business built? Is Jeff Bezos in the back of the warehouse putting stuff in boxes? No, he has people doing that, right? So the more you start reading into books, the more you start reading about delegating, and that the owner probably needs to be doing the top 5% of things that only they can do. And that's what I want to focus on. My main priority is getting more work secured and working on education and platforms for other locksmiths to learn. That's my passion. That's where I want to go. But locksmithing pays the bills. It keeps the heat on. It keeps the food on the table. So I was just kind of rolling with the punches, not really just kind of going in blind. And of course, the first one, I hired a buddy. That didn't work out very well. Then I hired another lady. She was actually really, really good, but family matters took her to another location. And then we've just we've hit or miss. We've got a couple good ones, a couple duds. Either they're good and they leave, or they start a competing business, or something just happens. So I think the biggest thing that people need to realize is when it comes to hiring people, you're probably going to go through 10 employees before you find a real good one that sticks and stays. At least that's my experience. So just keep going and keep working and learn from every single experience, what worked and what didn't work, and then apply that to the next person that comes along.
Sure. Yeah. I think and I agree with you there. I think the other part of that equation really boils down to like, what do you actually want out of your business, right? Like it always starts the same. Like I need to make money to support myself or my family, my loved ones, whatever it might be. And that's kind of where it starts. But after a while, as you go through that grind a little bit, it's like, what type of business do you want to build? Now, there's many, many people who are watching this or who are going to be listening to it that are like, hey, I like I'm a single operator. I like it. And I really don't want to add any team members. Right. And I think that's definitely okay. Right. Like no one ever said that you have to start a business and grow it as humanly as large as possible to make your ego as happy as it possibly could be. Right.
Right.
And I think, for those of you who are watching and or listening, knowing that and feeling like it's okay to just have the type of business that you want to have is definitely important. So I want to throw that out there before we get into some of the other stuff, because I think it's important that it's okay.
It is.
Truly, my biggest, like when I first started CLK, I had no intentions of ever being here today, like as it sits. I mean, I was at first, I was like, hey, I need to make some money. I just need to make some money and to support my family or my future family, I should say.
Right.
But so I think that's really important. I think the other aspect I think that should really get put into thinking through this process is quality of life.
Yes.
Because it's really easy, especially in the locksmithing type business where you can be doing jobs, 24 hours a day almost if you want to. If you want to, right? And you can find yourself in a spot where you literally are miserable.
Yeah.
Have you ever found yourself in a spot like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even as a couple months ago, finally get an employee trained. Boom, something happens, they quit, I got to fire them, something comes up. And now, my heart just sinks. And because now I know that I have to go do all of the calls to keep everything going in. And to really kind of answer your question about why I'm hiring employees, it was because I need somebody. I've got a huge customer base and we do quality work and we have an extremely good reputation in the Valley. But I need somebody to take care of that day-to-day work, the monotonous rekeys, the master key systems, just the general locksmithing aspect of it. And then I can focus more on, the other things like I told you, the trainings and the programs, but even more than that, like the big safe moves and the big safe opens. Those I still find interesting. Those I still find, fun, if you will. Whereas, oh my goodness, another quick set rekey. Are you kidding me? Like I'm just kind of burnt out on that. And just, just going through life and seeing, hey, you're one medical issue away or one accident or one something completely out of your control from being broke. There's some money in the bank for savings for a rainy day, but that's not going to last if you snap your leg or blow your back out or something. And if I do that, then the whole show comes down. How am I supposed to train somebody if I'm already injured? So if we can get that ball rolling and I can get employees going and I can get employees that can train employees, and I can sprinkle a little bit of that real good stuff on top, then hey, that's where I want to be. I want to be in the situation. I want to have a business that doesn't require me in it at the end.
Sure.
Something that's also sellable, because when you get it to the point where you're not required to be in there, then you have something that's tangible that you can sell.
Sure. Absolutely.
So that's what did it for me.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to kind of back up, and I want to ask you a question here, and answer it how you want here. But when it comes to being busy and deciding, it's like, okay, I don't want to just have one. I don't want it to just be me. Maybe it's for the reasons you mentioned. Maybe it's for other reasons. But they're like, you know what? I want to add a van, right? I want to make this a 2-man operation.
Yep.
One of the hardest hurdles to overcome, besides just being busy and battling the overwhelm, which we talk about quite a bit in the call. So definitely watch, if you're interested in learning more about that, definitely watch the call there. But is where do you come up with the money to commit to that, right? You have another van you have to come up with. You have to get all the tools in it. You have to do all that kind of stuff. On top of that, you now have to, pay them every 2 weeks, right? And maybe you haven't set up a payroll system yet. And maybe you're just paying yourself, as a sole proprietor. And you're not even running a payroll service. You have all these expenses coming, and it's intimidating. It can be really intimidating to adventure down that road. And so I'm kind of curious your thoughts when you decided to get to that spot to do that. Like, how did you think through that?
So the first thing that I wanted to do was, I'm a real big believer in 2 is 1 and 1 is none. It's an old military term, meaning that if you have one of something, as soon as it breaks, you have none. So if you have 2 of them, when something breaks, then all of a sudden you actually have one, and you can do that. You can rely on that. So I had my main van, and then I actually set up a little Subaru car. I mean, I literally bought this thing for a couple $100. I put some real basic punches and stuff in there. You get like a right hand that'll do quick set and schlag. You can do some real basic stuff, real basic pinning kit. Just some real basic stuff to go out there and actually do some of that. I literally set the whole thing up for right around $1,000, quite literally. And it was just my personal backup in case it got into a wreck, the main truck got into a wreck or needed something done to it. As soon as you run into an older vehicle, you run into, hey, your truck's going to be down for a day. Hey, your truck's going to be down for a day equates to $1,000 mechanic bill and not making income when I'm usually making $1,200 a day. That's all part of it, right? So I built a backup vehicle first. I built that along the way for me first. And then I use reserve pond accounts. Like I've got my main bank account, and then I've got a backup savings account to that. I've got another backup savings account to that. And I have an account at a completely separate bank that overflow goes into. And basically money trickles into those reserve pond accounts. And when there's $5,000 in the final account, that's what I allocate and take towards tools, towards building a new truck or payroll expenses or things like that. That's how I saved up. That extra work in that overwhelm is the time to start putting that extra money away so that you can bring somebody along so that you're not in overwhelm for too long. That was my personal experience with it.
Okay. Good stuff. Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I just got to, for those of you who haven't watched the call, I pretty much found myself in a state of overwhelm for quite a long time. And it's almost like, when you're doing in a dysfunctional relationship or something like that, after a while, it just becomes normal and you don't know any different. And so I unfortunately spent years in overwhelm trying to do as much as humanly possible. For me, my circumstances changed a little. It got kind of weird on me a little bit because my wife became sick when she was pregnant with my first child, and with our first child, I should say. And she couldn't work. And so while starting the business and getting it going, I had to, at the same time, make it work on one income on like a day's notice. So found myself in that situation, and then I just started building up, and I had a revenue number. I'm like, I need to get to this revenue number with this margin. And when I get there, I will have enough buffer to hire someone. And so I'm like, my life's already kind of miserable as it is right now. So at this point, I would rather just kind of punch through to that number and keep that gross margin there. And I know when I get there, I should be, I have a good enough buffer to bring someone on. Unfortunately, the supply business is very inventory capital intensive.
Yes.
So, that was like the biggest drawback for me doing that. But yeah, I just set the goals. I was like, I'm already there. And I just worked like a dog to get to those numbers.
Yeah. And that's inspiration for the guys that are out there that do have those ambitions. Hey, if you are overwhelmed and you are working like a dog, that's part of it. That's step one. You're on first base. Okay. That's when you're ready to step up to the plate. And that's when you can start putting some of that money away. You can start, making those plans. But if you don't plan, then if you fail to make a plan, you plan to fail. That's all there is to it. You got to have a plan in place, and you got to know where you're going. And just like you said, a lot of these books that I was reading, most of the population ends up dead or dead broke at 60. That's it. Look around you. Look at the old locksmiths out of the game. Look at most of the people around you that you associate yourself with. Most people end up dead or dead broke at 60. And I just told myself, I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm going to have an empire built around me to where I'm going to have multiple revenue streams coming in, to where if one shuts down, I got plenty others right behind him. And that's where I want to be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a good closing statement there, really, honestly. For me, I try to look at things in the most simplest form as possible, because it helps me eliminate emotion that's clouding my judgment per se. And
right.
What it really boils down to for me, for those of you who are in business for yourself, is to sincerely think about what matters. And for me, something that it really struck me was that, I have a 5-year-old, I have a 10-year-old, and a 14-year-old. And if I were to go sit down with my 5-year-old, she's at the age where she's like obsessed with me, which is awesome. Right? Like hanging out with dad and doing stuff with dad. If I were to sit her down and say, hey, you're not going to see me very often because I'm going to go make as much money as I possibly can.
I don't understand.
She's not going to understand that.
No.
Right? She's not going to understand. I mean, it's the same reason why when we get our kids presents, half the time they play with the box more than they do the present, right? And so for me, something that became very clear is that I have to, like, growth and all of that stuff is fun. And I mean, come on, who doesn't like to make money, right? Yeah. All of that stuff is fun, but all of that stuff is not the real purpose of why I'm here right now, why I'm here with you. And for me, that is because I have a family, and I want to hopefully build a business that allows us to have some fun, but to also really cherish the moments that we can together, and maybe go golfing a few times. But
yeah. That's exactly where we want to be. I'm willing to put in the hard work, but I just came to a point and realized, I just kept hitting this ceiling that was like $350,000, for like just barely touching 400,000 a year by myself. And there's no way. That's me running 7 days a week, working every weekend call, doing everything I can possibly do to grab every dollar. And I was like, dude, you're 35. You can do it now. In 5 years, you ain't going to do it, sunshine. My body was already telling me that ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. So that's all there was to it. So I've got to bring people in, and there's good people in the world that want to help you make your dreams come true. If you can help theirs come true too, there really are. And that's what it's all about. It's almost like I'm doing it for my immediate family, and I'm also doing it for my family that is my team too. I want to see them succeed.
Yeah. And, when an interesting point to that, I don't think I talked about very much on the call, is that here, with a lot of stuff we do here at CLK, I actually put it up to whatever team we're doing it with. I put a lot of stuff up to a vote. Mm-hmm. And there are many times they will outvote me Sometimes I wonder if it's in spite, right? But but like we literally put a lot of stuff up to vote. Now, of course, do I have the final say always?
Sure.
Well, absolutely.
But do
But the
they work
people
harder
who
for
want
you?
to, what's that?
Do they work harder for you when they feel they have a say?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, and yes, they definitely have way more buy-in, right? But the bigger part is that it's like, listen, all of us are going to spend more time in this building right here. We're going to spend more time together than with our families a lot of times, right? Like, I mean, my youngest kid goes to bed at 8 o'clock. So best case, I see her a couple hours before bed throughout the week, right? And so if we're going to be here together and we're going to try to accomplish something and do something and make our work matter, well, by golly, like I want you to feel that you are moving along in life and with this business as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Excellent.
And because of that, I will let them outvote me and we'll do what they want. So,
sure.
And and they love it.
I'm sure they do. And like I said, the more involved they feel when it's not a dictatorship, when it's a democracy, the more they're going to be willing to do for you. When they see, I bet if you take your employees or your team and there's a piece of trash or something on the floor, they probably take that extra minute to pick it up and put it in the trash can and make everything look nice and go that extra mile. Whereas, somebody working at Lowe's or some other job where there's no interaction, they don't feel valued, they don't have a vote, they don't have a say, they just clock in, clock out, that piece of trash just sits there, the cart sits there, and they don't care, and that's what you're bringing out. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do it. And I mean, even today I put a few things up. We're making a bunch of website changes, and I put a couple of things up for vote in our internal chat.
Yep.
And just today they did outvote me. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to pitch them harder next time.
You're gonna have to read a sales book.
I know.
Matter of fact, one great book, I'll throw this out there. One of the great books that I listened to was Never Split the Difference. I can't remember the author's name, but he's the best FBI negotiator in history. And it was an amazing book, and just some of the psychology behind it. It works great for business and sales and everything. And I learned a tremendous amount. Never Split the Difference. I'll think of his name here in a little bit, but was an amazing book. Something to think about. But
good stuff. Yeah,
looks like we're almost up on 30 minutes here. What else do you have going on? Do you have another drawing or some other stuff to go to here?
Yes. Yeah. We'll go ahead and get to the drawing here in just a moment, Wayne. We'll move on to that. So I just want to thank you for coming on and chatting once again with us. And it was fun, good little chat. And make sure anyone who is watching to check out that video. And if someone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I'm all over social media. You can private message me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, anywhere on there. You can email me at tricountylocksmithservice@gmail.com. And you can also fill out an application at wayneslockshop.com.
Sounds great, Wayne. Well, hey, thanks once again, and we'll be talking soon.
All righty. If there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thanks for watching. And I think you got such a good thing going here. I'm just really happy to see this Lock Boss thing is working out for you. And hello to everybody else out there, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.
That's good. Thanks, Wayne. All right, everybody. Well, hey, let's get on to this week's giveaway winners. So now let's make sure we're all on the same page here. I'm trying to think. Sometimes I start clicking too much here, so let me slow down. Let's go over the rules. Let's go make sure we're all on the same page, and we're going to announce this week's winners. Here we go. So what to do if you win? You're going to want to email us your shipping info to sales@CLKsupplies.com or call us at 800-848-6989, and we'll send your gifts soon. How to win? Comment on our videos with the hashtag LockBoss. Winners will be chosen from comments on the previous week's videos. It's that simple. No purchase necessary either. So that's important to us, all of you who work with locks and keys out there in the world. It is so important that your work is so important and what you do is so important that we want to make sure that you feel valued. And that's why we give away stuff to 5 winners each and every week. And if you can see on the prizes, even the ones we don't advertise, I mean, they're a good value. We're not sending you stickers. We're not sending you pins. We're sending you good stuff. So, all right, here we go. This week's winner number 1 is Robert Freer. Robert, congratulations. Here we go. Winner number 2 this week is Bill Gray. Bill, congratulations. Winner number 3 this week is Joshua Hopkins. Joshua, congratulations. Winner number 4 this week is can't even say sorry, Mario, I just butchered your name there. Shark City Locksmith. Mario, congrats. And last but not least, winner number 5 this week is David Myers. David Myers, congratulations to all 5 this week. Now, of course, what we got going on this month is our Lock Boss Premier Polo. You get it for free on any order over $432.10. All you have to do is add it to your cart. Bam, it's yours for free. It's a really nice polo too. I need to wear one before this sale gets over here. But good stuff. You know, they used to make fun of me, as a matter of fact, about wearing polos too much around here. So, you know, they've got me totally casual going on here. But listen, everybody, hey, thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. I hope all of you enjoy your Tuesday evening. Keep up the good work. We'll see you same place, same time after Memorial Day next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Cheers to you all. Have a good evening.